Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood. Today we're going to be learning all about the legendary silent film star and comedic genius, Buster Keaton. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. As a toddler, Joseph Keaton, who we now know as Buster, took a tumble down a flight of stairs. The famous magician Harry Houdini happened to witness the fall, and after seeing the little boy stand up completely unharmed, Houdini remarked, "That's some Buster your baby took," and the nickname stuck for life. What do you think? Is this an actual fact or just too good to be true? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Today's word is pratfall. Pratfall. A pratfall is a slapstick comedy term for a fall onto one's backside done intentionally for comedic effect. It sounds simple, but a well-executed pratfall is a work of art requiring great athletic skill and timing to be both funny and safe. It's not just about falling down. It's about the exaggeration, the surprise, and the character's reaction that makes it a classic comedy gag. The word comes from the Old English term prat, which was slang for butt, dating back to the 16th century. So, a pratfall is literally a fall on your butt. While the word might seem a bit silly, it perfectly describes the cornerstone of physical comedy perfected by performers like Buster Keaton, who turned the simple act of falling into an incredible display of acrobatics and storytelling, making the pratfall a true work of art. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Buster Keaton. Number 1, Buster Keaton performed what is considered the most dangerous and expensive stunt of the entire silent film era. In his 1928 film Steamboat Bill Jr., Keaton performed a stunt that is still breathtaking to watch today. He stood perfectly still on a specific mark while the 2-ton, that's 4,000-pound facade of a 2-story building fell forward right on top of him. He was saved only by an open window on the 2nd floor that passed around his body, leaving him just inches of clearance on all sides. What makes it even more incredible is there were no special effects or camera tricks involved. The building facade was real. It really weighed 2 tons, and Keaton's mark on the ground was just a simple nail. If he had been off by even a few inches, he would have been crushed. The shot was so dangerous that it said many of the crew members couldn't bear to watch and turned their backs, but Keaton, a master of precision, nailed it in the first take. Number 2. He was famously known as the Great Stone Face because he rarely smiled on screen. While other comedians of his time, like Charlie Chaplin, were known for expressive faces, Buster Keaton developed a deadpan, stoic persona. He discovered early in his film career that if he performed the most outrageous, acrobatic, and chaotic stunts with a completely straight face, the audience laughed much harder. This contrast between the wild action and his calm, unblinking expression became his trademark. It made his character seem like an ordinary man who was constantly bewildered by the chaotic world around him, which made him incredibly relatable. His emotions were conveyed through his incredibly athletic body language and the subtle movements in his eyes, proving you don't always need a big smile to make people laugh. Number 3. Before he was a movie star, Buster Keaton was a child star in one of the most chaotic vaudeville acts in history. From the age of 5, Buster was the third family member of his family's act, the Three Keatons. The act was a whirlwind of slapstick comedy and acrobatics, but it was also famously rough. His father, Joe Keaton, would literally throw young Buster around the stage, into the scenery, into the orchestra pit, and even at other performers. It is shocking to think about, but Buster was an incredibly skilled acrobat from a young age and learned how to fall safely. The act was so wild that it was sometimes billed as the roughest act that ever tapped the boards, and it was eventually shut down by child labor authorities, which, when you think about it, really says a lot because they weren't shutting down much of anything back then. But this tough apprenticeship in vaudeville prepared him perfectly for a career of performing his own incredible movie stunts. Number 4. Buster Keaton was a mechanical genius who engineered many of his own gags and special effects. Keaton wasn't just the star of his films. He was often the director, writer, and chief inventor. He had a brilliant mind for mechanics and engineering. He would often deconstruct objects like cameras to understand how they worked so he could create new visual effects. He would spend hours, sometimes days, meticulously planning and building the complex props for his gags. For example, in his film Sherlock Jr., he performs a seamless stunt where he dives through a window and appears to emerge from the other side wearing a completely different outfit. This wasn't a camera trick. He built a special breakaway prop box that his assistants could quickly flip to create the illusion. His creativity behind the camera was just as impressive as his performances in front of it. And our 5th and final fun fact for today: after a period of struggle, Buster Keaton made a triumphant comeback and received an honorary Academy Award. When silent films gave way to the talkies, Keaton, like many stars, had a hard time adjusting. He signed a contract with a big studio that took away his creative control, and he went through a difficult period in his personal and professional life. For a while, the genius who had once been one of the biggest stars in the world was nearly forgotten. This changed in the 1950s and 60s. His old films were rediscovered and celebrated as masterpieces by a new generation. He began appearing on television and in new movies, and his genius was finally recognized again. In 1960, he was awarded an honorary Academy Award for his unique talents, which brought immortal comedies to the screen. And as he stood up on stage, he received not just the award, but also one of the longest standing ovations in Oscar history, a truly heartwarming moment for a comedy legend. Now for some news you can use. Here's a tip inspired by the great Stoneface: the power of the deadpan. Whether you're telling a joke or a funny story, try delivering the punchline with a completely straight face. Don't laugh or smile before you get to the end. This technique, which Keaton mastered, works because it creates a wonderful contrast. When your face is serious but the situation you're describing is absurd, it makes the punchline even more surprising and hilarious for your audience. It builds anticipation and lets the humor of the situation speak for itself. So next time you want to get a big laugh, channel your inner Buster Keaton. Try playing it straight to let the spotlight shine on the silliness of the story itself. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if it's true that Buster Keaton got his famous nickname from none other than Harry Houdini. Well, that's a fact. According to Buster Keaton in his autobiography, the story is absolutely true. His family was traveling with Harry Houdini in a theatrical troupe when he was about 6 months old. After he took his tumble without so much as a cry, the astonished Houdini picked him up and said, quote, "That's some Buster your baby took," end quote. A buster was slang at the time for a fall or a spill. His father liked the name so much he started calling him Buster from that day forward, and his actual first name, Joseph, was soon forgotten. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Buster Keaton with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.